So I guess I wanted to kind of start this off with a little bit of background, maybe a little bit of preface on everything. So to start off, that's me. This is me and my brother. A lot of people say that we look a lot alike, and I don't really see it, and I'm really hoping that you guys don't see it, because that would mean that I look like this. That really has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I just wanted to show everybody that picture because I think it's incredibly funny. So this is me and my mom. She's probably one of the greatest women I've ever known, one of the strongest women I've ever known, and I'm super grateful to have her in my life. And this is my dad, and that guy is he's a whole different breed. He was the deacon for my church. He was president of a national organization for law enforcement executives, FBI Academy graduate, traveled the world going to Botswana, and Africa, and Trinidad in order to teach law enforcement, and he was the deputy chief of police in my hometown. But on top of all of that, he was one of the most considerate men I've ever known. He was the type of man to notice that my elementary school soccer team was losing their coach. So in order for me to be able to play, he decided to teach himself how the game soccer worked, and then go ahead and coach my team for the next 2 or 3 years. Who does stuff like that? Or maybe the time when he took a shotgun bullet to the abdomen as an officer, and knowing that his mom was a recent stroke victim and didn't want to impress any more stress on her life, he told her that he was going away on a business trip, when in reality he's in the hospital recovering. Some people might call that reckless, but I see someone who wants to put other people before him. I'll never forget moments like that. But unfortunately, my dad was later on diagnosed with glioblastoma, which is a really aggressive form of brain cancer. And I got to witness things I wish I never got to witness. For example, I remember taking my dad to chemo. I remember having to walk him down the aisle in church because he didn't have the strength to do it on his own. And I remember watching cancer sort of rewire my dad's brain and giving him this whole new personality, and him becoming like this whole new person I've never seen before. And eventually, when I was 12, I had to witness losing my dad. And I remember changing a lot after that. I became a lot more reclusive. I wasn't very social anymore. I didn't really want to talk to anybody. I remember relationships being broken, especially with my mom and my brother, and that's only because they were the ones that had to sadly spend the most time with me. I remember, forming these abandonment issues that I inflict on people that, didn't deserve it, or, just a bunch of, other, things that I'm not really, proud of. But I also remember specifically becoming angry. I became so angry, and most of my anger was directed towards God. And a lot of that anger was because people would consistently tell me that, God was calling his angel home, or that God was using this moment in my life to try to teach me some kind of lesson. And, it was really hard for me to try to fathom, serving a God that would try to inconvenience my life so much just to teach me something. So for the longest time, I just, hated God, didn't really have any relationship with him. Until probably around within the almost 4 years that I've spent here, I've kind of decided to take matters into my own hands and kind of take a look at my situation and try to see it from a different perspective, Maybe there's something I missed, and not let what other people have said to me influence my relationship with God. So I looked at this guy. And this is Job. He's probably the most common example in the Bible of, being tried, going through tribulations and stuff like that. He was a God-loving man. He was, fulfilled. He was wealthy. He had everything going for him, and he had everything taken away from him as this, big test to see whether he would love God in the end. And I guess the story felt fitting because, just going through this, suffering, this overwhelming feeling of suffering, and not really knowing where it came from. I don't know, I felt like I could kind of relate to him a little bit. But in my reading, something had taken me back, and that was here, where it says specifically that, the Lord had brought that trouble onto him. And reading that kind of messed me up because, that would make God everything that I tried so hard, to not, make him to be. That would prove all the people at church right, and that, God is the reason for the suffering I feel in my life. Except I forgot how Job opened, where it says specifically that, Satan is the one that inflicted, that misfortune onto Job, and that God had allowed it. We're so caught up in this idea that since we serve an all-powerful and all-good God, that if he's all-powerful and all-good, then suffering shouldn't exist. But we forget that he's given us free will. And with that free will, we are allowed to make that choice to serve him or to not serve him. So where would the choice be in serving him or not serving him if life is perfect? It'd be pretty easy to serve God if everything in your life is just perfect and you never faced any adversity. Because would we really love him unconditionally if we never faced anything? Or would we love him under the condition that we never face adversity? I also read in Ecclesiastes, that, under the sun, all things, can happen, and that time and chance will happen to all. That there's no, root cause to everything. That God may allow suffering, but suffering doesn't always come, from a specific point of reference. It doesn't always come from this, divine intervention. It doesn't always come from Satan trying to, prove points. It just comes from life, There's so many moving parts in this world, things that we can see and things that we can't see. Yesterday was 75 degrees, and today is a high of 54. There's no, certainty. There's no, consistency. There's no straight line. It's just, this ever-moving, ever-flowing thing that, you can't really control, you can't predict, and we're just in it. And that sounds depressing, I guess, but in the same sense, it's not. Because there's also so many good things in life to enjoy. And you kind of miss those opportunities if you're always focusing on those negative things. Ecclesiastes says, right before that passage, that previous passage, that you need to, go eat your food in gladness, drink your wine with a joyful heart, for God has already approved what you do. Always be clothed in white, always anoint your head with oil, enjoy life with your wife, whom you love, all the days of meaningless life that God has given you under the sun, all your meaningless days. For this is your lot in life, your toilsome labor under the sun. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. In the realm of the dead where you're going, there is neither working, nor planning, nor knowledge, nor wisdom. And I know that, that word meaningless sounds kind of harsh, but it just kind of encapsulates this, there is no meaning to to the trials that happens in our lives. There's no underlying message. There's no deep-seated code. It's just life, it's just this thing that happens. And we have to take, the good, we have to take the bad, and we have to just work with what we have. Because if I, sat in my suffering all those years and just sat there and always try to point a finger at God, then I miss out on everything else that's around me. I miss out on enjoying kids of my own one day, or truly being able to feel what love is, or to share those priceless moments that you share with your family and your friends. And there's so many other beautiful things in this world, and you just can't spend all your time trying to point a finger at God or trying to point a finger at something for the bad things that happen to you, because they're going to happen. But you only have one life on earth, and I would prefer to live life trying to make the most of it more than sitting back and letting those trials and those moments of suffering overwhelm me. So yeah, thank you.